Hello, everyone. This is Leonard de Guzman on the Life After D podcast here with Emily Robinson. What we do on this podcast, we go over the news about, you know, life after divorce. Sometimes it kind of blends into the divorce news. Today is June 3rd. We're in the kind of the in the midst of this historical, the Black Lives Matter protests, the things going on. I just wanted to address it, because people are probably thinking about it right now. If I've talked to my friends who have, I think, I don't know if they protested or they have friends who protest, and it's something that in our country we have constitutional rights to. We have the right to, protest. And, with the thing I noticed with, the younger, generation, the people is a lot of them protest, but they don't vote. I think, the way the country works with the Electoral College, we are able to elect senators, congressmen, that will push, certain bills, certain laws, and something that, it has a lot of correlation to is the, violence and poverty. And I think one of the things that, would help is maybe this, and, this is my opinion. I'm just another guy in LA. Maybe the universal basic income. I don't know. That's what someone like Andrew Yang who was a presidential candidate brought up. So if you're gonna protest, do it for something. Whether you agree with someone like me with my political views or not. I think giving advice to people and younger people. So that was a heavy opening, Emily. Since we're here, we're talking. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, it's very sad what's going on around the world right now. We have this on top of COVID-19 now. Many people having a hard time just making a living as is. And I here in Los Angeles, I find the looting and the destruction very sad because a lot of people are being targeted who really have nothing to do with this, and looters are taking advantage. On the other hand, emotions are so high, and sometimes peaceful protesting doesn't get the job done. And it's horrific that we still have crimes like what happened happening still today. It should not be happening, and it's all just so sad. It almost leaves you speechless that all of this is going on. And I'm one who truly believes that like 90% of people really are good people and mean well. And maybe we have a different means to express that. Maybe we have different political views. Maybe we have different ideas of what we need to get, good in the world. But of course, there's that 10% or whatever that are bad people that are never going to go away no matter what we do. And we have a choice. We can keep fighting against that or we cannot. And I think that fighting against that is the answer, and teaching our children how to make the world better is the answer. But it is really sad to see businesses being destroyed. And I'm a giant animal lover, and seeing, some of the police horses are getting hurt. And that makes me really sad, of course, because they're innocent animals that have nothing to do with any of this. So, I don't I hesitate to say anybody's right or wrong, because I think everybody's doing the best they can to try to get through this terrible time. For an event that should have never, ever happened and is horrendous.
Okay. So here's the thing, right? Like so the guy's name is, Derek Coffin, right? He started this whole thing because I didn't really know what happened. So Minneapolis, I guess, the judge gave this cop, I guess, only a third degree. He was charged with third degree murder, manslaughter, which is, I guess, a small thing, right? And so
I
that
think
aggravated
I think he also got charged with second degree. I think he got two
second degree.
charges. Yeah,
Yeah.
third degree and second degree. But that's because first degree has to be premeditated. So you can't get first degree unless he actually went to work that day thinking, I'm gonna find George Floyd and I'm gonna kill him. Like that's what it would have to be premeditated. And so since he didn't do that, he can't really be charged with first degree.
Okay. See, that's good. You're a lawyer. You know that these things like a common
I'm
guy
not a
like me wouldn't know.
I'm
Huh?
not a criminal lawyer, but I know a little bit about some of these things. But there can be aggravated charges added, like a hate crime, so it can be, you can add that onto it. And now, again, this isn't in California either, where I practice, but yes, there can be aggravating charges added onto that as well. And obviously, even if it's obvious you're guilty, you're innocent until proven guilty. So he still has to have the trial. I don't know where in the world he could possibly get a fair trial where people haven't already judged him, but they managed to try to do that. They did it with that case a long time ago. Well, there's been many of these, but like where a husband killed a wife or a child was killed and they're not going to get a fair trial in their community and they have to move the case.
Okay. See, I didn't even intend to go on the tangent. So this guy, Derek Chauvin, so his wife, I think of 10 years, it says here, is filing for divorce. She requested a last name change and the titles of both of their homes. Kelly Chauvin separated from her husband on May 28th, the day before he was charged with a third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter for the death of George Floyd, according to the filing. The filing cites an irretrievable breakdown of the marriage that was beyond saving. The couple has been married since June 2010, just under 10 years. Chauvin said in the filing she wants to change her last name among other requests. She didn't say in the filing which surname she'd take once the divorce was finalized. The petition notes that she was formerly known as Kelly Cow and Kelly, hopefully I'm saying this, Jeong. So it looks like maybe she was her single name, and then maybe she was married before. Is this a common thing? As far as it looks like this is like a uncommon thing where she's trying to expedite it a little bit because it's, how will she move on, right? With kind of her name, and she probably wants to move on, So is this a common thing?
Well, I can only speak to California, but in California, in your divorce petition, you'll put if you want your name to be changed back to a maiden name or a former name, and that will typically, you can put that that's your request. It doesn't typically get granted right away. It gets granted once the final judgment is done. So, but yes, it's very common for people to request their maiden name back. It's also typical to not, because if you have children and your children have the husband's last name, you might not want to have a different last name than your children. So a lot of people will keep their married name. Also for professional reasons, maybe your business is in your married name and you don't want to change that. So, but at least in California, it's the wife's option. The husband can't, order her to take her maiden name back or refuse her to keep, or refuse her to change her name back to her maiden name. So it's just her choice. And I have had that before. I've had people try to force their spouse to take their maiden name back, and you can't do that.
Okay, in lighter news, you familiar with, you watch Fox News? Sean Hannity and wife divorced after more than 20 years of marriage.
Really? I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, it says, it says here, friends of the former couple say they've been legally divorced for more than a year and separated many years prior to that, but kept it under wraps. I I have a bit that I have that I'm so bad at impressions that you wouldn't call Sean Hannity to offend someone you call Leonard. I'm so bad at impressions. Like it's like I've offended women. I've offended I guess Mickey Mouse, and it's so bad. Yeah, that comes up to mind. But it's I guess being in the public, maybe more of this will come out.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually surprising. It's hard to keep your divorce private, especially when you're a public figure like that. But there are ways to do it. And if you don't have a highly contested, divorce or custody battle like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie did, sometimes you can manage to keep yourself out of the tabloids and keep it private. So, good for them that they were able to keep it on the down low and not have it talked about forever. I mean, it is public record, but there are ways to keep the terms of your settlement private. And maybe they did that so that the media didn't actually know what they agreed to.
Yeah, it's a bad time to be a celebrity. Like they could follow you. They got TMZ. I think TMZ pays you to like take pictures. Like, and then everyone has a phone.
I know.
Google Maps.
There is no privacy anymore. It's impossible to keep your life private if you are famous at all.
Okay, here we go. Here's something a little more a fun topic from thecut.com. The divorced mom going on her first date with a woman. Let's see, this week a woman wondering whether she's really queer and ready to start dating. 44, single, Sag Harbor. You just read a little quick thing. I think it looks like a journal entry here. 9 a.m. I'm isolating at my country house out east, sharing my kids with my ex-husband, who is also out there. The biggest news in my life is that I'm officially identifying as a queer woman. I've been straight for 44 years, and now seems like the perfect time to try and date women, at least online. Does that happen? After divorce, you want to kind of, I guess, change your like sexual orientation?
I'd say I actually see it quite frequently. A lot of times the divorce is because somebody realizes their sexual orientation is different than what they had thought, or they had been hiding it. Maybe they've had an affair and realized they were a lot happier with a different gender. But I have seen that happen a lot. I also think sometimes people just after divorce, you want to reinvent yourself and change yourself, and you listen to parts of yourself that maybe you didn't listen to before, or want to try new things. And sometimes it's just trying new things, and then maybe you go back to identifying as heterosexual. But yes, I do actually see it quite frequently. I also think sometimes people really are burnt out on the opposite sex and really want something different. And, that you're coming from a different place when you already have kids. And let's say you're done having kids. You're not necessarily looking for the same thing. Your kids already have their two parents and you're already raising them together. Now, maybe you're looking for a different kind of companionship. Maybe different things matter to you than mattered originally. Maybe before you were looking for a really good father or mother and a stable person that could help raise your family. But maybe now you already have your kids and you're co-parenting with your ex, and you're looking for someone who's fun and adventurous and can be, exciting new chapter. So I do see it a lot.
Okay, well, since we're on that topic, there's another post that came in. My ex-husband is questioning his gender, and I'm angry, hurt, and relieved. In the beginning of our relationship, he told me he liked
Clean it up for the
He liked
internet.
it, yeah, but didn't want it all the time. That desire grew, and he identified as bisexual. He would only watch a certain porn, and it would get him upset, and I didn't enjoy it as well. He would have ass with me. I'm only saying this because I didn't I put some, I guess, on YouTube or Spotify you have to play explicit, so I'm gonna just keep it PG. So I'm gonna just keep it
It's a
okay.
family show.
Okay, okay. And I knew all this, and I could never talk to anyone about it because nobody knew except for a few girls he felt needed to know. When he left, he played the victim. Everyone publicly commented about how much happier he was. The same people who commented on how awesome our relationship was and how happy we were together. His exact words were that I made him miserable and he needed to get away from me. I don't think I really love him anymore because he is almost unrecognizable to me now. I met a young single guy who loved to play video games, go to metal shows, wore black band t-shirts and cargo pants. Let's see, let's move on here. But here's the thing, I lost more than 7 years of being with him because I'm still recovering from the same SH he put me through and the pain of my life changing.
Yeah. So that's tough. I mean, look, you're going to feel betrayed whether somebody leaves you for another woman or another man, or because they've just completely changed. And sometimes that is one of the changes that can happen. They realize they have a different sexual preference, or at something else. They love someone else. They don't want to be married. I mean, there's so many ways that people can change, and it's always going to feel like a betrayal because you thought one thing and you invested in one thing, and the other person didn't hold up their end of the bargain, which is the marriage. And that's hard and it's awful. And you just got to get through it with therapy and friends and the way that you would get through any loss, because whether they left you for another man or another woman or another lifestyle, it's still painful no matter what. And I think that people feel lied to a lot when they meet you and you're a certain way and then you change. But a lot of times it's not on purpose. People change because they change. Things in their life change. And someone who's 25 is not going to be the same person at 35 or 45. So it's part of life. And it's one of those things that is unpleasant, but we just have to accept it, that you don't always grow together. Sometimes you grow in different directions.
Okay, let's see. Here's our last post. 6 months later, does it get easier? It's been 6 months since my divorce finalized. I didn't fight for anything relating to money or possessions. I only wanted to hold full custody of my boys. I gave birth to both of them after carrying them for 9 months. The oldest prior being married, the youngest months after a change in law allowing non-biological same-sex parents to claim the assumed paternity role if the child was conceived during the marriage. I understand the law and agree it's probably what's best, but it's not easy to swallow. Let's see. She spoils my, I'm gonna skip down a little. She spoils my boys while I scrape by, and it's so hard to play second string after bringing them into the world. I can't discipline my oldest without him telling me he doesn't want to be here, my house anymore. Jealousy torments me no matter how hard I try to remember it's what's best. Hearing my baby call her mommy is like nails on a chalkboard. It breaks my heart. Someone please tell me this gets easier.
It does. I mean, it's hard to share your kids. It always is going to be hard to share your kids, but it does get easier. And people really have to remember that these are not just your kids. There's someone else's kids too. And there's two parents. And you have to learn how to accept that. And while that's really, really difficult and, almost impossible, you You just have to. That they're not just your kids, and they need the influence of the other person in their life too. And it's selfish to try and keep them just for yourself when there are things for them to learn and gain from their other parent as well. And when, I just tell people to try to focus on the kids, because I know that most people think they're the ones that know what's best for the kids. They're the ones that can do what's best for the kids. Being only with them is what's in the best interest for the kids. But you have to remember that's not best for the kids. The kids are going to wonder, why doesn't my other parent love me anymore? Why isn't my other parent in my life? Why don't I have time with my other parent? And they're going to feel abandoned no matter what a great parent you are. So remember that you have to look at it from the perspective of the child and what is best for them and what they need. And then I think it helps to be able to share custody when you can do that.
Yeah, the good thing with COVID is there's so many kids out now. Like, I feel like it's like the 90s where everyone's like riding their bikes again.
Yeah.
That's a good
It's
thing.
great. Although my son just discovered Minecraft, so I have a feeling that he is going to be sitting in a corner playing Minecraft all day, but I'm making him bike ride and do other things.
Yeah, you gotta do the screen time. Screen time.
It is
2
hard, let me
hours.
tell you. Once they find video games.
All right, so we'll let Emily go back to officiating the Minecraft screen time. That's all the time we have for today. Emily, do you have anything about any updates about the Los Angeles court opening or Ventura County?
Well,
What's going
LA
on?
courts are supposed to be open for family law as of June 22 and Ventura as of June 15. And so there have been some extra closures in LA because of the protests and rioting. But for the most part, those are the dates. So hopefully those stick and we can get back to business as usual, although I'm sure it will still be a little different. But business as usual for the most part. We're going into summer, so try to get sunshine and stay positive, as it's not that easy right now, but the beaches are open, or some of them are, so try to go and get some fresh air and keep your positive attitude up.
Yeah, so next time hopefully we'll go over some Zoom tips on what to wear during your maybe your mediation on Zoom, or there's probably going to be court hearings on Zoom.
There are, yes.
We're gonna have to give tips about that. So I think we're gonna sign off here, and we'll come back next week for the Life After D podcast. So see you all later.